Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy.
Hello, David. How are you tonight?
Good, Bruce. The Oilers off to a perfect start to the season. Perfectly rancid. Another loss to the Vancouver Canucks. A much better effort by the Edmonton Oilers. Bruce, we had the grade A shots in this game. 21 grade A shots for the Oilers, 6 for the Vancouver Canucks. But the Oilers managed to lose this one 4-3, mainly on the back of a number of frankly appalling defensive miscues by veteran defensemen. Is my call on this. Just appalling. And we're going to get into a few of them. Bruce, this is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast. And because we're ticked off, we're going to go with two bad things each. Let's start off with your good thing, though. What is your good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Connor McDavid out of this game as just being a constant force, mostly for good. Very, very. He was very, very unlucky in this game. Let's put it this way. And there's so many incredible numbers from this game that I have other numbers for numbers. So I'm going to drop some in here. McDavid was on the ice at 5-on-5, 25 shot attempts to 3 for the Oilers, and the score 0-1. He was -1 in this game, with a goal and assist, 8 shots on net, 4 hits, and all over the ice. But that's not the half of it, David. By the time you get into all situations, which includes power plays and everything, okay, McDavid played 26:07 tonight, 26:07, and according to Natural Stat Trick, he was on the ice for 54 shots by the Oilers and 4 by Vancouver, 54-4.
It's Corsi?
It's Corsi in this game, 54-4. And I mean, there's lots of other incredibly good ones, but I mean, Nuge was 43-9, for instance, but 54-4. Fenwick, unblocked shot attempts, 36-2. The other guys got 2 shots towards the net that didn't get blocked, and one of them went in the frickin' net. Go figure. And for 27-2 in shots, 30-1 in scoring chances, and 8-1 in high danger chances, which are the ones I put a lot more stock in.
But Bruce, when it came to individual contributions, he only made 3 to grade A shots at even strength, and he made no mistakes.
This is all situations.
This is all situations. Well,
the Oilers had 30 chances when he was out there, and 7. Vancouver had 1, and they scored.
Yeah, he was flying. Unfortunately, man, he is with 2 line mates who are just really, really struggling right now. Evander Kane looks too slow with iffy hands at this moment. He could change. He's playing physical hockey. He's trying.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm starting to get that, I hate to say this, that Milan Lucic vibe of the power forward who's lost a step. And it's early to say that. So it's that's just a vibe. I'm not saying that's where he's at in his game, but I'm starting to get a little vibe-ish about that. I'm worried about it, Bruce. And he's had those major injuries last year. He has looked sharper in preseason with the puck. He's had some good moments. But, to play with McDavid, you have to play at a very high level, and you've got to handle the puck well. Yep. And whether or not he may not, we'll see. We'll see. And Connor Brown, again, coming back from an injury, major injury, missed pretty much all of last year. I mean, he was not good this game. He made we'll talk about the winning goal in a little bit. I'll leave that for you then. But he just was not, 0 contributions at even strength to grade A shots. Same with Kane. They didn't make 1 contribution to a grade A shot playing with Connor McDavid at even strength. On a night McDavid was flying out there. And he's frankly held, it's like 2 cement blocks on his back right now with those 2 guys. They've got to find a way. And maybe the idea, move up Fogle and Holloway to play with McDavid at this point. those two guys were flying out there and making all kinds of plays and looking dangerous. So, as was Ryan McLeod. That line was, the Draisaitl line was fantastic, but McLeod line was also good. But yeah, they're just not up. Anyway, it's still early. Brown and Kane obviously can turn things around. I certainly expect that to happen with Connor Brown. He did look good in the preseason, very good at times. Kane, you just never know when it comes to players, power forwards that age. An injury, you just never know, and the drop off can be quick, abrupt, and fairly painful for a team. So we'll see what happens there. Bruce, my good thing was Leon Draisaitl. I just thought he was the best player, Oilers' best player. First shift, he came out there. He drills Tyler Myers. It's always a great play when you use the other player's momentum to push them into the boards. He used the old slingshot momentum, slingshotting Myers into the boards, wins the puck, puts it out front to RNH, who almost scores. It was disappointing that he didn't, honestly.
Great
but fortunately they win the puck back, and they're just totally all over them. RNH and Hyman, and they're working away and slamming shots at the net, and Draisaitl finally puts it in. A moment later, on the power play, he almost made it 2-0 with his executioner shot. Just slammed it at the netting. Smith just got lucky, frankly, a frantic glove save, and he stopped it. All night long, Draisaitl was excellent on defense. Not one mistake in any situation on a grade A shot against. 6 major contributions at even strength, 2 grade A shots, and 6 on the power play. Leon Draisaitl was fantastic. The only thing he wasn't able to do was to score another goal. And he came close many times. There was one, I think this was in the second, where Bouchard came in, Nuge set him up for a good snapshot, and Draisaitl, I think one of the Canucks players actually might have got his stick on that shot, but it looked like a wide open net from the slot. So Leon doesn't miss those much. So I think that might have actually been tipped somewhat. But he was working hard. He was physically involved. He was dominant, utterly dominant. The Canucks had no answer for him, and he certainly deserved better this game. Most of the forwards actually deserved better. It was a very strong effort by the forwards. You manufactured 21 grade A shots, even though they did get 7 power plays. You get 21 grade A shots. You've had a really great game on the attack, and Leon led the way in that regard.
Yeah, it was 1A and 1B for sure for Oilers, but Leon was very strong. He lost a couple of big face-offs in the third that was disappointing. They had a great chance in Vancouver territory with maybe 6 minutes left, and they put him and McDavid over the boards together, and he lost that draw, and they never got the puck back for basically the whole rest of the shift. By the time they finally got it, they had to shoot it in and change up. And when you're at that stage of the game where you got maybe 3 shifts left, face-offs at the flip of a coin at any time,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that was not a good time to not win it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And then a couple at the end with the goalie out as well.
Bruce, what is your first bad thing?
Yeah. I'm going to have a little caveat, but only a little one. The Oilers got to get some saves. And they didn't get any from Stuart Skinner in this game, really, at all. I mean, we had the grade A shots at 21-6. Natural Stat Trick had the high danger shots at 21-7. Like, we're almost in perfect accord. That doesn't always happen, but sure did tonight.
Because we measure different things than they do.
Yeah, but they
measure shots at net. We measure them on net.
Right, and they measure where the shots are from, and we try and take into account things like the dynamics of the play.
Yeah.
Anyway, usually if it's one-sided for one, it's also one-sided for the other, and that was certainly the case tonight. And by either measure, Stuart Skinner didn't have a lot of work to do, and yet Vancouver got 4 goals on him. And they had in the caveat that I mentioned up front, and I'm going to give them, is that by our measure, the Oilers gave up 6 grade A shots, but they also gave up 6 5-alarm shots. Every single one of the chances they gave up was a very dangerous chance. two times. Well, we'll talk about the goals in more detail, but the first three Vancouver goals were scored by guys that were behind the Edmonton defense and had nobody between them and the goalie. Two deflections and a 2-on-0 breakaway. But still, I thought Skinner overplayed the 2-on-0 breakaway, and I thought he wasn't just simply wasn't good enough on the game-winning goal scored by Sam Lafferty, sort of a fourth liner for Vancouver. I mean, he had some wide speed going around Ekholm, but he was, off to the side, and he picked a corner and beat Skinner. And then you look down at the other end, and you got some dude named, remind me, Casey DeSmith. I'm exaggerating for effect. I know who Casey DeSmith is, but he's just sort of a guy. And when it comes to NHL goalies, and here he's stoning Draisaitl, McDavid, left and right, making these big stops off of Oilers stars from the slot, and Vancouver are scoring goals from the wings or from distance, and everything's going in. I mean, sure, the deflections are hard to stop, but I mean, where's the save? The Oilers needed at least one save in this game.
And the one they really needed was on the fourth goal when Höglander
was
breaking
so
in.
bad.
They really needed, I mean, you're going to get to the goal, like what leads up to it. But man, DeSmith made that save all night long, that tough save on that play.
He made tougher saves than that right after that.
Skinner just needed to make that play, and he needed to make that save.
They needed it.
It was a hard save, but he just had to have that. Man, come on. Bruce, my first bad thing. I think I'm going to call this the single worst play of Darnell Nurse's career. And seriously, and you know what? I'm not on the run him out of town bandwagon. I never have been. I've been like a major defender of Darnell Nurse. But come on. You are a veteran NHL defenseman. Your fundamental job now is to prevent goals against. We got lots of guys on this team that can score. Darnell Nurse has got to lead the way in shutting down the other team and not allowing goals against, and especially on a play like this. This is the play, Bruce. There's three forwards rushing the puck. All kinds of guys. Fogel's taking it down the wing. Three guys are up there. Okay, Cody Ceci, for some reason, decides he's going to join the play. So he moves into the slot. He's not needed. They don't need Cody Ceci to do that. It is a terrible play by Cody Ceci because there's no reason for him to join the play when you've got three forwards up in the attack. It was ghastly, his decision. But then guess what happens next? Darnell Nurse thinks, well, what's better than four guys on the rush? Five. He charges right up into the play. He sees Ceci. He's got to see the play in front of him. He sees Ceci charging up there. There's four guys, and he thinks, oh, we need five guys at the net. And he charges in there. It's a 2-2 hockey game. They have just tied the game. And he charges up there like he's a peewee idiot. Like that was the most idiotic play I have ever seen him make. And for a veteran player, that is completely unacceptable. That is shameful, and he should have been benched. I would have benched him if I was the coach. Send a message to him. You have got to get your head out of the butt. You cannot make these plays this year. So I'm a little bit hot there, Bruce. I'm a little bit hot.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I can't. Oh, anyway. So what happens next? Fogel decides that he's going to shoot the puck. He's got four passing options. He's going to shoot the puck, and he misses the net. He goes ringing around the boards.
Mm-hmm.
And where's Darnell Nurse? He's in the high slot as the puck goes shooting fast around the boards, and it's a two-man breakaway at that point.
Mm-hmm.
He should have been benched. They should have benched him and Ceci for 2 or 3 shifts to send a message to those guys that is not acceptable. And I don't care if it's early in the season still and they're like, whatever. The Oilers have problems with defense all last year in these kinds of situations. You just can't have him do that. And I don't know what his explanation is. I mean,
well, they did get benched for 1 minute and 37 seconds till they came back out there, but yeah, that's not really message sending territory, is it? So,
wasn't great.
It was. but both defense have been jumping up in the rush. Like, what are you thinking? Seriously, and it's. I mean, this is the line I'm telling you from the start, and I'm going to keep saying it until they make a liar out of me. And the line of Fogle and McLeod and Holloway are going to create a ton of chances, and they're going to miss almost all of them. So why choose that time to be taking unnecessary chances? Right? It's not like you're driving the front of the net because Leon or Connor is going to throw a butter feed right on your stick for a tap in, right? I mean, it's Warren Fogle, for God's sake.
It's Warren Fogle. What do you think's going to happen? Exactly. What do you think is going to happen?
He's going to try hard, and it's probably not going to go in the net. Is what's going to happen. I mean, I like Warren Fogle fine, but that's not the time to be opening up the defensive stops. You want to come out of their part of the game 0-0 because you're probably going to get 0. So the other guys are going to need to get 0 as well. Think defense.
And I hated the play because I'm a Darnell Nurse fan. I'm cheering for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And this just plays into the narrative of his big critics that he makes bad decisions on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that was like the worst, that was like the worst decision I've seen in years in hockey. It was just like, I don't know if I've seen that play, like a 2-0 breakaway. Like Tyson Barrie, when he first came to the Oilers, he made all kinds of bad pinches all the time. And then he finally realized.
And he kind of figured it out.
Then he totally figured it out. He hardly made that kind of play in his last year and a half with the Oilers. Really give him credit.
Well, I give the coaches credit that when you make a bad pinch on the Oilers now, it's a 2-on-2, and it used to be a 2-on-1. So oftentimes scoring chances do not ensue because the forward's in better position.
That's true, Bruce. That's true.
But Barrie did noticeably improve.
He really did. And, Nurse isn't actually known for bad pinches necessarily. He can rush he can join the play with a rush like sometimes and make a bad play that way. But like the bad pinch isn't really his main part of the repertoire. Actually, this kind of play wasn't really a bad pinch. This was actually in his repertoire of bad plays where he gets over enthusiastic on the attack, joins the rush when he shouldn't, and isn't. I don't know what they're telling him. But they should just tell him, Darnell, your job is to have 0 goals against every game.
Mm-hmm.
And the closer you come to the more we love you. And 0 grade A shots a game we'll be off the charts ecstatic about it if you can achieve that. And he was actually fairly good the rest of the game. Nurse didn't make any other major mistakes all game long. And he actually contributed to 3 chances. But, it's such a colossal mistake in a key moment of the game that I'm highlighting it as you all just heard. Bruce, what is your second bad thing of the game?
Yeah, well, it's got to be that game-winning goal in the third, and we've already talked about aspects of it. But the play really started down in Vancouver end, and it came round to Connor Brown's spot on right wing along the boards, and because it was along the boards, you couldn't quite see how the puck got through him, whether he actually tried to touch it back to the point and didn't put enough on it, or he just couldn't handle what should have been a fairly routine puck around. All of a sudden now Vancouver's breaking out 2-on-2, and the Oilers are kind of going the wrong way. And one of the guys going the wrong way is Matthias Ekholm, playing his first game of the entire season, coming off of a reported hip flexor injury. And if I didn't believe before that he had a hip flexor injury, after watching that play, I believe that he does. He looked a little slow and sluggish, and he was kind of burned around by Sam Lafferty, who's a pretty fast skater, and did allow a shot from the inside of the face-off circle. It wasn't a direct shot on net, and yet somehow that shot was able to beat Stu Skinner. And Skinner, if I'm thinking of the right goal, he was kind of already down when the shot was let go, and he couldn't really react to it. And Lafferty made an okay shot, but man, oh man. So between Brown's play, Ekholm's play, and Skinner's play, that was the ball game. That was the winning goal early in the third period. 2:56 of the third, and that just stayed 4-3 the whole rest of the way. And after, it just seemed like the goals that Vancouver got were like a couple of them were just free goals.
I'm
You
gonna
know,
get to that here.
yeah.
Ekholm, I don't know if we saw him get beat like that in the games that he played for the Oilers last year. He's clearly a step behind. He's clearly preseason form.
Well, first game.
Kulak's still rounding into shape. Both these guys were injured in the preseason, so I mean that obviously not a good play. Defenseman's nightmare is to get beat by a speedy winger like that on the open ice, and that's what happened. And it wasn't a mental error though; it was a physical error. And obviously, if you have too many physical errors, you can't play in the NHL either. But Ekholm's going to get up to speed and not make the physical error,
Right.
and or adjust with the speed that he has, so he doesn't get beat on plays like that. But hopefully, he'll get up to speed and be the player that he can be, and shut down that kind of attack. The two other goals are or excuse me, I guess the first and the third goals were both what we call the dreaded Californian.
First and second.
First and second, yeah, okay. These are the first and second. These are the named because San Jose and Anaheim used to execute these kind of NLA used to execute these goals all the time during the decade of darkness against the Oilers, and mainly, comes to mind is Brent Burns to Joe Pavelski. Brent Burns with the outside wrist shot, Pavelski tipping it in. There was also other guys though, like Corey Perry was good at the Californian.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin Brown, Drew Doughty. There's all kinds of practitioners who are quite expert at it. Mm-hmm. And they're really frustrating goals because you can be doing a lot right in your defensive coverage and you just allow an outside shot and bam, it's in the net because some guy gets a stick on it in front of the net. And the Oilers' first two goals were that. They won on the power play. And it was a tough one. I mean, it's Quinn Hughes, who's very fast moving around there, and he buzzed the shot in there. And Janmark might have been able to get in the lane, and Philip Broberg might have been able to get, he's got to also look for the one-timer on the other side. So, it's a very tough play when they execute it so well, which they did. You hope the goal, like someone will save that play. Someone will stop that play, but not to be. The next one was even a little worse. There was quite a few defensive breakdowns, including a terrible turnover by Zach Hyman, his only big mistake of the game. But it was started off the sequence of pain on that second goal, and it was an ugly mistake where Nuge passed him the puck and he just muffed it. He just lost it, keeping the puck in the zone. And there's an outside shot that Nugent Hopkins was slow to cover, get in front of, and Kulak failed to tie up the stick at the side of the net. So again, another Californian, another tough play, another one where Skinner doesn't have a chance, but you just can't. The forward has got to block that shot. Don't give him a clear shot, and the defenseman tie up the stick or the goalie make the save. Like one of those three things has to happen, or you're going to get a lot of ugly goals scored against you.
And I'd argue the goalie, I mean, it is very hard to stop, especially the mid-air tips that both of those goals were tonight.
Yeah.
And it seems like the Oilers have already given up like 5 goals on deflections. There was a few the other night. I'd have to go back and look in our thing, but there was a few the other night. And there was 2 tonight, both mid-air deflections. And both times the guy was behind the entire defense. So the defense was fronting the shot, which they didn't block. And they didn't challenge the guy in the slot. Now, one was on the power play where they've got an extra guy, and often that's the net front guy. The other one's 5-on-5. And Nils Hoglander was alone behind the defenseman for the deflection. And to me, what the goalie's got to do in those situations is just make himself as big as possible, get as close to the conflict point where the puck is going to get to.
Yeah.
Make himself big on that deflection point. And I mean, the odd one's still going to find that hole somehow, but I just get the sense of Skinner being big in the net really all game. And he's a big guy, and that's his game. He's got to find that.
Yeah.
So
I agree, Bruce. It was you just need a save on one of them, right? These are hard shots, but just a couple more big saves. He did make a couple big ones on Connor Garland early in the second. That was 2 shots in a couple
2 in a row, yeah.
2 in a row, and he stopped both those, which was really good. And I was thinking, okay, the Oilers have got it turned around here. And then, of course,
Same
comes the
sequence. Boom.
CC Nurse. Yeah, just later in the same shift, CC and Nurse both just go AWOL.
So those
Okay,
two off of Garland, those are the only two of the six then that he stopped of the grade A
correct.
shots, right in a
Correct,
row, and
Bruce.
the play didn't even
That was
end with
it.
it.
That was
Was
it.
wow.
That was it.
Well, I said to my son, he said the Oilers got goalie tonight, and I said they got double goalie,
Yeah.
and because they had a weakness in net, and Vancouver had a strength. And here's the statistics prove it for all you
Is this your
fans of
number?
expected goals out
Oh,
there.
okay. Yeah.
5.2 for the Oilers, 2.1 for Vancouver. So let's call it 5-2. So the Oilers underperformed by 2 goals of what was expected offensively, and the Oilers underperformed by 2 goals from what was expected defensively. And where they played well enough to win by 3, they ultimately lost by 1 based on actual goals, which obviously are what decides the game. All these other numbers are just analysis. But the analysis here is the Oilers were by far the better team, and they didn't, their finish, both offensively and defensively, let them down badly.
Our expected goals from our account is almost exactly the same as that. So,
Yeah.
um, what's your
My
number,
real
Bruce?
number, now that I've spewed out a few, the numbers from this game are quite amazing. So, but mine is my number 750, which is the
Uh-huh.
save percentage of the Oilers right now. In the first game of the season, Jack Campbell stopped 12 out of 16 shots for a 750 save percentage. Stu Skinner came on halfway through, and he also stopped 12 out of 16 shots for a 750 save percentage. And tonight, Skinner played the whole game, still only faced 16 shots, still only stopped 12 of them for a 750 save percentage again. The whole team has a 750 save percentage.
Ouch. Bruce, my number is 0 for 4. Leon Draisaitl was able to launch 4 one-timer shots. I call it the executioner shot. So he lashes his stick like he's going to chop the goalie's head off with it. Lashes the stick at the net at the one-timer. 4, I think he hit the post once. Actually, there was 5
Dang.
because one of them got blocked by the defenseman.
Right.
And so 0 for 5. 4 of them hit the goal, and one of them was
With the
this
post.
miraculous, frantic save. One hit the post, and two the goalie stopped, and then one the defenseman stopped. He usually scores. I think it's about somewhere between 33 to 40%, close to 40% of those shots went in last year. It's the number one weapon in the NHL, and he got off 4 of those shots. 5 of those shots didn't score once. That is bad luck. That's real bad luck. So good for Leon getting open. Good for the Oilers finding him. Everything was working, and he
Yeah.
just,
Some of
man,
those
if he had scored that second
sequences,
one, yeah, just on that second one early in the first period, that would have been sweet.
like the Oilers had the puck on the string at times, and they were really zipping it around.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the great Casey DeSmith was just a little too tough. This reminds me so much of a game last year that I went to, and I was just so upset after the game, and it wound up costing them first place, where they outshot Anaheim 49-17 and lost 4-3 in regulation. Same score. Just couldn't get the fourth one and couldn't keep the fourth one out of their net. And it was like the third period, the shots were like 23-2, and one of the two went in, and that proved to be the game winner. And it was the same kind of game. You think, how is this even possible? You could play this game 100 times and they'd win it 98 times. So how did they manage to lose it this one time? I mean, it's always possible, but holy moly. The good news from tonight's game is they played way better. And if they play that well, they're going to win. Well, I won't say 98% of the time, but I will say 75% of the time.
Mighty Casey did not strike out.
No.
People, that poem, you don't hear that poem very much anymore, do you? Like that was like kind of often referenced in the 70s,
Casey
80s.
at the bat. Yeah.
It's kind of forgotten. It's kind of a forgotten early 20th century bit of writing. Who
There
wrote
is
that?
no joy in Mudville.
Do you
Mighty
remember who wrote
Casey
that?
has struck out.
Who?
I
Case Ferber?
should, and
Oh,
I
it was
don't.
Paul Gallico.
Yeah,
Casey at the bat. Let's just
yeah,
go.
yeah. That's why I'm curious now.
He's by Ernst Lawrence Thayer.
Okay. Well,
There you go.
baseball has inspired much great writing, and some of it's even poetry. So
1888.
yeah, yeah, that's
Oh
an
God,
old one.
I became a baseball fan mainly through like partly through the writing about baseball. I mean, it used to be such great writing about. I don't know if there still is because I don't follow it, but I mean, Roger Angel and people like that writing about baseball. It was
Hmm.
just magical. Um, the writing that was done in the 70s and 80s and 90s on baseball. I don't know if
60s.
there's still 60s like all
Hmm.
throughout the history of baseball. I don't know if that has continued to this day. That kind of lyrical, so-called lyrical sports writing is kind of it's a thing of the past. Like honestly, you don't it's all about numbers now, and
Ball,
including
ball,
us.
ball four. There's some lyrical writing for you, Jim Bouton.
Yeah.
My favorite is a book called The Glory of Their Times by Lawrence Ritter. That in the mid '60s, he realized that some of the really old guys that played at the turn of the century and just beyond were getting up there in age, and he just put his notebook in his car and he drove around the United States visiting all these guys and getting their oral stories. So the words are all theirs. I mean, he added some obviously a little bit, and it's all these different viewpoints of these same times, and not just in baseball, but in America. Like there was so much going on at that time, and it was a real eye opener, a really culturally rich book that is wonderful stories about baseball.
Jim
So,
Bouton's Ball Four has, I think, the last line. It's has stuck with me all these years, and it's something like this. This is not what it was, but he had pitched for like 20, 30 years. He was a knuckleballer, right? And he
hmm
retired. I think he came back, Jim Bouton, and his last line was something like, all those years, I thought I had my grip on the baseball, but actually the baseball had its grip on me.
it's the other way around. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I
It was
just
a
thought
good
that was a
line.
very great line from him, which describes, how it is for so many of these
Hmm.
players, I think. Yeah, hockey writing has not been at the same level. There's been some great hockey writing too, but
Still
anyway,
waiting for a player's diary Jim Bouton's Ball Four, or Jim Brosnan's The Long Season or Pennant Race, or Jerry Kramer's Instant Replay in football is another example of a day by day sort of diary report. And I'm still waiting for a hockey player to
well,
come up.
the game by Ken Dryden, Bruce, is
Is it
not a diary,
right?
but it is a
Okay.
fantastic
Wait,
sports
no,
book.
that's
It really is.
it's just not quite
And
the format that I'm thinking, but
yeah, fair enough. All right, we got a little off track, but there you go. Bruce,
it's a
what's
long
next?
season, David. That's the name of
It's a
that book,
long
The
season.
Long Season, and the Oilers are 0-2, and they've only got 80 games left, so it's
Who
not
wrote the
quite
long season?
time to panic. Jim Brosnan, a pitcher
Jim Brosnan.
for
That's right.
the Pirates.
Yeah, that's right. All right.
No, wait a minute. Who won it?
Flyers,
61.
Philadelphia Flyers,
The Phillies.
Phillies. Oh, Flyers. Yeah, Phillies. Yeah. I don't watch baseball. I haven't ever since the Expos left Montreal. I've kind of that was it for me. I was an Expos fan, and uh, they lost me at that moment. All right,
Cincinnati
Bruce.
Reds. It was Cincinnati Reds he pitched for.
Any final thoughts?
Well, the Blue Jays are done, and the Oilers are just getting started. So
There
I'm
you go.
yeah, there was lots of positive steps in this game, and the end result is like totally 100% frustrating. But the performance of the team was night and day, way, way, way better. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the thing in hockey. You're going to lose some games that you deserve to win, but it doesn't seem like you win that many games that you deserve to lose, as the Oilers did on Wednesday night. So here we are, 1-2.
Yeah. Sigh. Yeah, I'm just correcting my game story. I had Hoglander scoring the winning goal, but of course it was Sam Lafferty.
Yeah, and Jack Studnicka, that scored a goal. He's an answer to a trivia question. He is the draft pick Boston got for executive compensation for Peter Chiarelli. So he didn't score for Boston, but he scored a huge goal for against the Oilers tonight. Still upset about that. Chiarelli had been fired, man. He'd been fired. They picked up and saved Boston his salary for like 4 or 5 years, and somehow they owed him a second-round pick. Yeah, real.
I think we need a segment on the show. Bruce's ancient grievances. About the Oilers. We can delve into one.
1972 to present.
We can delve into one. I've got lots of grievances too, but
Jack Studnicka, man, he burned us tonight. That's why I mentioned him. I mean, I just watched for stuff to happen, and stuff happened.
Yeah.
Still not happy.
Who do they play next, Bruce?
Who do they play next? They go on the road and they play in Philly, and it's a 2-game roadie. I think the second game's in Philly, and I'm sort of Vancouver this last while, especially counting the preseason. And here's Edmonton down at the bottom of the standings, and their schedule is at Nashville on Tuesday, at Philly on Thursday, then home against Winnipeg next Saturday.
All right.
Then they play one more road game, and then they have a long 4-game homestand over like a 10-day span, because they got the Heritage Classic in there, so they got like buffers between the games. Okay. So they're it's going to be slow going. There's only 8 games in October.
Well, they better get winning. We're gonna get even crabbier. All right, Bruce, thanks for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.